All right, we're gonna continue talking about pinning concepts and kind of add on to our 45-degree angle concept here. You can see the wedge of space between like their shoulder and their head. All right, I'm gonna be using the wedge of my hip to fill that space, right? And use that wedge to make them start looking away from me so that they can kind of, deem their typical jiu-jitsu escapes or like their hip cycles or shrimps and hip escapes, deem those a little bit less effective, okay? So we're gonna use our hip, right, and make their head face away from us. There's options where we can make them face inward, right? But for now, if we can, we're gonna make them look away, okay? So in the last video, we were talking about like this 45-degree angle control here, right? It's wonderful, right? Going from our kind of cage control or our wet mattress control here and dropping in, right? And filling the space, right? So I can actually use the ribs, hips, and everything to make them look that way. Right? So now if they start trying to push in, regard, all this sort of stuff, it's much harder for them. Okay? Leaving my hands free to operate if I need to as like, submission grappling context or self-defense if I'm fighting over a weapon or something, right? So I don't weigh a ton, but I can make myself feel like I weigh a ton through this kind of pressure here, okay? So here again, kind of dropping my chest down. I have my active toes, dropping everything down here. I'm kind of leveling their face here, and I find that temple with that iliac crest this way. Done KCC, you know like what the iliac crest is, or like that hip bone, right? You're gonna be using that as like a nice level. I'm gonna level his face, okay? So like when I'm here, I don't want to like, you'll see a lot of like jiu-jitsu people like turn their hips and like do this stuff, and like that's cool. But like I want to use it earlier. I want to use the near side hip. So like I'll drop it here into that wedge. So I haven't made contact necessarily with his head yet, right? Then I'll move it over into contact, and it immediately gets way fucking worse.
Yeah.
Right? So filling in the space and then using that to like push, right? A lot of escapes and stuff like that need him to turn into me. Where the head goes, the body's gonna follow. His head's facing away from me. The likelihood of him being able to turn into me is much lower.